Right then, girls. So, a couple of things that you may have heard about. So, midwives may have mentioned it, the doctors, potentially, but you probably more than likely read it on Instagram, seen it on Facebook, or read about it on social media. And the thing that you may well have heard about is abdominal separation, also known as diastasis recti or rectus diastase, and there's other connotations of the same thing. But essentially, it's abdominal separation. So, if you imagine, I've got my abs sat down here, which is where my hands are, and you've got really thick connective tissue down the middle. So down here is like my blue tack, okay? So what you're gonna do, what happens when our baby grows is our blue tack stuck down the middle of our abdominals, thins and stretches, and that is it. It's nothing more scary than that. And if you want to house your baby in your body, that's exactly what it's got to do. So I would even put my hand on saying 90 to 95% of us have abdominal separation to a greater or lesser extent. There is absolutely no way that you can grow a baby in your body without that happening. So it might be that yours personally might just be around the belly button. For other of us, like myself, I was lucky enough to get a 4-finger separation after I had my second baby. So Fraser's now 7, and all the connective tissue down the middle of my belly button has all completely healed, but I actually still have a 2-finger gap. The gap isn't what we're worried about. It's the tension postnatally as to whether that has fully come back. If that tension's fully come back, your separation is healed. So the last port of call when we're looking at that is around your belly button. But this is what you'll start looking at maybe a year down the line after you've had your baby. For now, don't worry about it. By connecting properly with your core, your pelvic floor and your deep core muscles, we can do whatever we can to keep it as strong as possible to make healing postnatally as easy as possible. That's abdominal separation. It's no more scary than that, girls. So please don't worry about it. You're not breaking. It's completely natural and we're designed that way, okay? Now, the other thing that some of you, I really hope don't have it, but there are some of us that do unfortunately suffer with pelvic girdle pain. Pelvic girdle pain used to be termed as something slightly different. So you may have heard it being called something else, but essentially it's where the laxity within the body, so we get a hormone shift. You've got changes in progesterone levels. You have relaxing kicks in when we're pregnant. All 4 estrogens, they also change in their levels as well. So all these hormones are doing lots of different things to help our pelvis birth a baby. So pelvic girdle pain is all linked with that, and it's because our ligaments lengthen a little bit. They become far more stretchy. So if our muscles around our hips, around the front of our pubic bone are struggling to manage that shift with how much the ligaments have laxated or loosened, it then depends on how much pain you may or may not get. Now, whether you've trained brilliantly right up until your pregnancy, because my good friend Harriet, who is sat here with us, she trained like an absolute Trojan right up until the point at which she was pregnant. She was the fittest and strongest she'd ever been. And unfortunately, Harry has pelvic girdle pain now. So it's not because you have done anything wrong. It's just the way your body reacts to pregnancy. So follow what your physios give you as far as exercises go or not exercising. Listen to the midwives. And then once you've had your baby and the levels of your hormones start to settle again, hopefully that pain will go and you can then start resuming your recovery and rehab exercise once you've had a little one, okay? So if you do get it badly, some girls, one of my clients, she was on crutches, and others just have their pubic bone hurting when they're walking. So there's varying degrees of severity with it. So just manage it as best you can and listen to your physio, please. And if you can't see one through the NHS, please go and see one privately, just so that you know what you're doing. All right. Now, the other thing is, along with that, is joint laxity as a whole. It isn't just for your pelvis. So when we're training when we're pregnant, if you haven't got the pain in your hips and through your pelvis and through your lower back, you might find that things feel a little bit floppy elsewhere. Hormones aren't targeted just to the pelvis. It's knees, shoulders, the entirety of the body. So we have got to be careful when we're exercising, when we're pregnant, that we don't overextend our joints. Our ligaments and our tendons can't take the same amount of pressure that they did when we weren't pregnant. So we've got to make sure that our muscles are doing their jobs really well to protect our joints. And that's just the body as a whole. So some days you'll find that your knees are achy for no particular reason. Other days you think, oh yeah, I can move around great, and then realise that you've hyperextended your knee. accidentally. This isn't a thing to worry about, but it's just that kind of thing. And sometimes with wonderful fluid retention, this can be a little bit more prominent as far as the achiness of the joints go, because there'll be that little bit more fluid within the joints that just makes things a little bit more uncomfortable. But again, once you've had little one, things will settle back down again, fluid retention will dissipate, probably within 2 to 3 weeks postnatally, and then it will all be fine and you'll start to feel a little bit more like you again. All right? So hopefully that's answered any kind of myths that you might have heard, and if not, please get hold of the Weight Gym guys and we will do our best to answer your questions.